But it's all lies. It's all been done to deprogram us and program us to believe that none of this stuff really existed. But Isaiah, coming back to Isaiah 45, he wrote about a guy named Cyrus. Now, Cyrus' parents weren't even born when he wrote this, because he wrote this book right around 701 BC. He started prophesying his ministry 744, which is, approximately 740 years before Jesus was even born. Just imagine that. So that's about 2,700 years ago when this book was written, because Jesus was born right around 4 BC. And so he started his ministry 744 BC, approximately 740 years before Jesus was ever even born. Remember, and Isaiah is one of those guys that wrote about Jesus was going to be born of a virgin. Crazy. But some people say, well, that's the first time you see it. No, when he spoke about when the virgin birth was actually goes back to Genesis 3:15. As soon as they had been kicked out of the garden because they tripped, and they ate of the fruit. Some people say apple, but it doesn't say apple. Let's keep it real. It says fruit. I think it was a persimmons or a pomegranate. We just don't know. I like that. Actually, he thinks a fig, so we don't know. Actually, this is all kind of cool because fruit was bigger. It was all pure. It was so good. But it could have been a fig. It could have been a pomegranate, because these are some fruits that it talks about. We just don't know. And the reason I say persimmon, because I like persimmons. Oh, they're so good. And so there's no other reason. I just like them. And I'm thinking it had to be a persimmon just because I like them. I'm special, right? Yeah, right. So all that to say is that when the virgin birth that he spoke about, you can see it in Genesis 3:15, because he says that this child would come from the seed of a woman, this redeemer. And remember, the woman doesn't carry the seed. Science will tell you, the Bible tells, seed comes from man. Seed comes from man. And so, it's just interesting, again, when he wrote this, because Cyrus' parents weren't even born yet. It'd be 100 years before his parents were even born. 150 years before Cyrus was even born. 175 years before they believe he actually went into Babylon to conquer Babylon. Babylon wasn't even a world power at the time when this was written. You're like, oh, that's confusing. It's not. It's just that God knows the future. God knows everything. Cyrus, where did that name come from? Nobody knew that this kid was going to be called Cyrus. So that's what 45 is. It's this guy named Cyrus, because eventually, when Isaiah is speaking now, he's speaking to the tribe of Judah and the Benjamites. They were the last tribes left, because the 10 of the tribes have been taken captive by the Assyrians. The Assyrians were the world power. They're like, ooh, you're giving us a history lesson. I'm going to be real with you guys. This is the greatest historical book ever written. A lot of people come to church and they want to hear, I tell you, the Lord is good, and get up, he is good. He wants to bless you. That's all good. And you can get inspired, and it makes you feel good. But it's historical as well in content. It is a book that was written that is factually accurate. And so Babylon wasn't even a world power at the time yet. They wouldn't become a world power for at least another 100 years. The world power was the Assyrians. And the Babylon eventually conquers the Assyrians. They're not even a world power. They eventually conquer the Assyrians. And here's what's crazy. The Medes and the Persians were nobody. They were just nomad tribes at the time. But he's speaking about a guy who eventually would be the world leader, the world power at the time. And so Persia is modern day Iran. In the news lately, you guys all know, right? Been in the news lately. His tomb is still there. He is one of the greatest leaders known to Iran. Iran wasn't always a Muslim country. Wasn't until 1979 when the people wanted change and they got, whoo, they get some change. They don't even like their government that they got. These guys that came in and conquered their country weren't even from Persia. They were actually from Iraq, which is kind of crazy. And they changed their whole country. And that's why we're bombing them now before they bomb us. People are like, why are we bombing them? They're such good people. They're the funders of all of this nasty, evil terrorism around the world. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. But that's why we open up our eyes now, because they're infiltrating our country now. And you're like, wait a minute, is that part of the message? Well, I just want you to know that it all intertwines. It all intertwines. His tomb is still there. Cyrus is still there. And so back to this, as we open up this book, the Jews weren't very happy that he's speaking about a guy who wasn't even Jewish, who was eventually going to free them. Like, what? God, why would you use a guy that's not even Jewish to free us? Remember, here's what's crazy, and it blew them guys up, because he calls him his anointed and he calls him his shepherd. That's what God does. He calls him his shepherd, and he calls him his shepherd in 44:23. Then he calls him his anointed in 45:1. So with that little back understanding, Lord, bless this study and let us be able to know what you are saying to us. And remember, we closed in verse 12 when in last week when it said, I have made the earth and created man upon it. I, even my hands, have stretched out the heavens, and all their hosts have I commanded. Now, we ended last week with the importance of knowing that God is creator. See, if we can't believe creation, if we can't believe the book of Genesis, we're always going to be doubtful about everything else. Everything else. We can't believe that God created the heavens and the earth instantly on the first day. You know what he did? He created time, space, and matter, boom, instantly. He spoke it into existence. He came out of eternity and created time, space, and matter. Beginning, heavens and earth, instantly. If he wouldn't have done that, you